With the way the economy is going, I genuinely worry that I'm never going to own a home. So if you're like me, welcome to building my dream life, my dream house in The Sims, and living vicariously through my Sims, because I have a crippling fear of never owning anything and never owning my own house and just being a renter for the rest of my life. But that is a little too real. So first, I'm going to go into a tangent in the first 3 seconds of my video, if you don't mind. When I used to live with my mom, I used to look at the houses on Zillow and I would see what people sold them for and what they bought them for. And one of the houses that lives near my mom, or that is near my mom's house, was literally bought for $90,000 like in the 60s or 70s, and they sold it for like a little under $1 million. Now I'm not good at math and I don't know how much that is, but that's a lot of fucking dollars, and that's a insane increase, and that just makes me mad and that makes me jealous, and I'm just a hater at the end of the day. But my dream house is literally in the middle of nowhere. It's in the boonies and it's a big ass house with a bunch of rooms, and ideally it would be filled with 4 kids because I always dreamed about having a lot of kids. But unfortunately in this economy, a bitch cannot afford to have more kids, so I have 2, and that is the most kids I will ever have because I can't afford them. I can't afford more. I can afford the ones I have now. I can't afford more. So this is a little house that I built in The Sims because I want to see this house. In reality, this is me manifesting. This is my dream house. This is my future. I will have this someday. I will have it. But right now I'm gonna live vicariously through my Sims because they don't have to worry about poverty and they don't have to worry about money, because I use the money cheat every time I ran out of money. And if only life could be like that for real. So I also want to preface that I'm not a builder, and I pretty much never build. When I used to play The Sims 4, I used to always download my houses from the gallery because I hate building and I'm not good at it. As you can see, like there was one clip that I have on here that was, I want to say like 20 minutes long, and of course it's been like sped up, but it took me 20-30 minutes, maybe even longer, just to like get some of the roof to look normal, and even then it still kind of looked like shit, not even gonna lie. But I really did try my best, and I was watching YouTube tutorials because I don't know how to build and I'm not a good builder. But yeah, this is my little house in the boonies. I don't know if that's offensive. I'm sorry if it is. I asked one of my coworkers who's like literally from quote unquote the boonies, and she was like, nah, it's chill, like it's not like it just kind of means like middle of nowhere. And that is the dream. That is the dream, like living in the middle of nowhere. But also, like at the end of the day, like I like Target and Walmart, you know, so like in the middle of nowhere but within the vicinity of like a Target and a Walmart, because I'm a girl at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like I need to do my shopping, you know what I mean? But I also would love to live off the land. So it's like a double-edged sword that I've created for myself, wanting to live off the land but also wanting to go to Target and Walmart. It's so silly, isn't it? And also because I have no original thoughts of my own, this house was pretty much entirely inspired and built on my Pinterest board of my dream house and my future house, because I am a girl at the end of the day. Yeah, I think this is the clip that I was talking about earlier where I was just rebuilding the roof over and over again because I hated how it looked. It ended up looking okay in the end. It looks kind of chopped right now because I didn't know what I was doing, and I kept redoing it over and over and over, and like looking at pictures and like trying to do it as accurately as possible with the tools that I had in The Sims. But again, I'm not a builder, so I don't really know any of like the tools or like the hacks, or I don't know how to build. Like I don't know how to do that. I don't ever build. I just like I'm a life, or what's it called? I'm a game player, I guess. Like I like to play the game, and I like to like have a little family and like do little things in the game, and I like exploring the game, you know what I mean? Like I could care less about building, which is why I don't build. So this is like my first attempt of doing that, and because I kind of already had an idea of like what I want my dream house and my future like forever home to look like, it was a lot easier and a lot more fun. But it did take me 7.5 hours to complete this, and I was able to speed it up into like 20 minutes. I tried making it shorter, but it just looked a little silly where like it just looked too fast, you know. Even this is kind of fast. But yeah, I do like the idea of just having a really big house in the middle of nowhere, and it's just like full of life and full of family. I myself came from a very big family, and I've always been surrounded by family, so I always thought that I'd live in a town where I could be near family but also like have a big piece of land and like have chickens and cows. Okay, so here I'm building, I think was a garage, but I ended up changing my mind, and I'm pretty sure I ended up deleting it later on and replacing it with a farm. Also, you will notice that my ADHD ass brain jumps back and forth between what I'm building and what I'm working on, because every time that like something would inspire me, like a color or something that I found in build mode or buy mode, I would literally just like place it down so that I would remember to place it, or I would just be like, oh, this is cute, I should put it somewhere else, and then I would just completely abandon that area and then just go work on something else. So it might look like it jumps back and forth a lot, because it does. Also, some sections like I was editing like while I was with my kids, or while I was like home like in the morning before going to work, and so I didn't like have a whole lot of time. Like some of these clips were like super short, like 20 minutes long, of just me like having a second to work on this build. And then my kids, I don't want to say interrupting because they're the best, but my kids needing me, so then I'd have to put it away. So this did take me like a little over a week and 7.5 hours of gameplay and building to get it complete. And even then, I would say it's still not done, but I have pretty much like I'm all out of building juice. So I've just kind of decided that where I was at is just gonna have to do it. It's just gonna have to be good enough. I do have a family that I created when I was going to make this build, but I didn't have the intention of playing with them. But now that I've built this little house and it's already like basically finished, it just needs some like very minor details. Also the entire second floor, I did not furnish it because I don't have the mental capacity for it. So right now it does look like, it looks a little like random and kind of all over the place, because I did place a fence and I did make a dirt trail just to have a general idea of where things were going to be placed and what I was going to be doing with the available land. And at first I thought like there's so much land, this is such a big plot, because I did do a 64 by 64, and that is the biggest one that they have available. So I thought that I wasn't going to find things to put in every nook and cranny, but best believe I ended up like thinking of things to place in areas, and also like using Pinterest, like I said, to figure out what to place. I'm also like not the greatest at color coordinating, so that's why I have to do a lot of Pinterest for like interior designing. And even then, like I feel like it doesn't look all that great. Like now that I'm looking back at some things, I'm like, oh, it looked better like the first way that I had it. So I may end up changing some things again anyway, but at least I kind of have a general idea of what I like and how I want it to look. So for the kitchen, I wanted to go with like a sage green, or like a I don't know, like a just cute, like a very cutesy green, which you'll kind of see it's like a theme around here. Green seems to just kind of stick around. But yeah, like I said, I do have a family that I created, and I kind of want to I do want to like play with them and edit them a little bit and kind of create a little bit of a lore, because I want to make like a short series of like living my dream life in The Sims, because I think that would be really fun, and it's really like it really is for me, because I'm living vicariously through my Sims. But I hope that if you stumble upon this, it like inspires you to do the same, because for me it has been like a really great way to like kind of see it in quote unquote reality, because of course this is a fake game, but The Sims for me has always been like an escape from reality, which is why specifically in this build and in this game, my Sims are not confined by an income, and they're not confined by money, because in real life that is what I live. I can't like have this big house. I live in Southern California, and houses are really expensive here, and I used to live with family, which was the most affordable thing for us, but like I mentioned earlier, I have children, so it's just not something that I felt comfortable in doing long term, because my kids were growing and I was had a lot of stuff, and I was just feeling like I wanted to have my own space. So now I'm a renter and I feel like I own even less. So in my game, that's not something that I'm gonna make my Sims worry about. They're not gonna be struggling for cash. Not that I'm struggling for cash by any means, but you know, I don't want like money to be a worry. So when I do play some Sims, they're definitely gonna have some skills, and they're definitely gonna have like at least one of them will have careers. Like I said, it is my dream life. So in my dream life, I would have this like cutesy little farm life, and I wouldn't have to work, because I do believe that, at least for me personally, I don't speak for other women, but where I'm happiest is in the home and with my kids. I love being a homemaker and I love raising my kids, so that is what I would want to do. And of course, my husband would pay for it, because what the helly. But at the stage where I am in life, the stage of life where I am now requires that I work and that my kids are watched by somebody who's not me, and that's usually family. But in this life, that's a thing of a different reality, and that is not something that my Sims are gonna have to worry about. I also didn't base the characters off of myself or my partner. It was just like, because this is like my dream life, of course, but I didn't like recreate my Sim self, because I'm already doing a legacy challenge where I literally recreated myself, and not my partner, but I recreated myself and I'm playing as myself. So in this game, I just like created a Sim that in my head is Latina, like myself, and then her husband is black and my husband is mixed. So that was like, again, it wasn't related. I just like made a man and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make him black, and that was just like a decision that I made. So I do want to play as them, and I have 2 daughters, so I may like do watermelon to make them have daughters, and then have 2 more kids after that, and they could be whatever gender, I don't care. And yeah, so I kind of struggled with the living room a little bit, because I went back and forth a lot on like colors, and I tried like a bajillion swatches of everything, and especially the walls, like I went back and forth, because I originally wanted it to be like a more of like a grandma home, and like kind of like a grandma lived here, but I was just a little bit inspired by like wanting the house to like have been inherited by somebody. I don't have anybody that I would inherit a house from other than my parents, when that will be in a long time. So I was trying to make it like more grandma core, but then I realized, you know what, this is my dream life and I would not live in a grandma looking ass house. So I ended up changing that, and that's why the walls and everything kind of looks a little bit more modern than what I originally planned, and I think that makes me happier, and that's what I would want in real life. I also think that like if I lived in this house, like I would be baking pies every day, and I would be feeding my chickens, and I wouldn't have cows, but that's all they have in the Sims 4. They have like a little cow thingy, a cow stable, or so, if that's what it's called. And then yeah, so I ended up going with the blue theme for the bathroom. I don't know why. I don't particularly care for the color blue, but it just kind of seemed right. When I think of bathrooms, I think of the color blue. And then I wanted to make the room purple, because my favorite color is purple, but I ended up just going with that same theme of the green. And again, I made the bed that like with that pattern, because I was trying to go for like the grandma theme. And it just like reminded me of what my grandma decorates her room with. And then I was like, you know what? Again, I literally don't have to. And I left the room kind of plain, because I'm really bad at decorating, so I didn't know what else to put. So if you have any ideas, then I'm literally all ears, because I'm not the best at decorating, but I literally did my best. I was on Pinterest, like every day on Pinterest, looking for different ways to decorate and to build, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. That's all I have to say for now. I'm just gonna let y'all watch, and then if I have something to say, I will chime in again. Okay, so my little break from not talking was very short-lived. I do want to talk a little bit about the kitchen and how I again didn't know how to furnish it because I'm, like I said earlier, I'm not good at interior design and I'm not very good at interior decorating. I just like, I really like, I don't understand color theory and I don't understand what colors look good together. Like if I were to look at colors side by side, I could not tell you which one looked better next to another, if that makes sense. So I had to use Pinterest a lot for pretty much every room, but I did struggle a lot for the kitchen or for the dining room, because I didn't know what to place and like how to kind of make it look more lived in and not so staged and kind of empty and lacking life. So yeah, the kitchen ended up being green as well. I was trying to get away from the green, but it kept coming back. It kept pulling me back. I also decided to make them a laundry room because in my dream house there would 100% be a laundry room exclusively for doing laundry, of course, and it would be very cutesy and I would be able to do laundry whenever I want, which I couldn't do when I was a renter living with family. But it is what it is, you know, you pay less rent and you get less benefits, unfortunately. But yeah, I also was trying to like give them a little pond because I have like this cute little like fantasy life of like living near a lake or something. But as you can see on this lot that I chose, right behind the house is a beach. So this is kind of technically a beach house, but in my head it's kind of like a lake and there's a little pond in front of my house. For some reason, I don't know why, I couldn't tell you the logic behind it because there really is no logic. Because like I said, there is no logic when it comes to this dream house. It is not logical. There is no money constraints or confinements because it is my dream house. Oh, that's my child, sorry. I also kind of struggled a little bit with the landscaping because I didn't know what to put where. And some of the stuff that I found on Pinterest was not very helpful because they didn't really match each other. So I kind of just had to like wing it and hope for the best. I originally was planning on making more like a garage of sorts, but that didn't end up working out. So you will see later that you just saw now that I deleted the entire garage that I had planned because I just didn't like it anymore. I changed my mind. Because originally the house that I was making was a floor plan that I saw on Pinterest and it came with the garage, but I kind of just put it separate from the house. And I decided to make this little farmhouse instead because in my dream life we would 100% have horses, or at least a horse, because I'm pretty sure that is what people who are very, very wealthy do, and that is something that my partner in real life has told me that he would want to do in the future when we, you know, have a more comfortable life. So yeah, I made this little farm, or sorry, not farm, a little barn, and inside it will probably just have one horse. And again, I was on Pinterest trying to find what a barn looks like because I've never really been on a farm in like real life, so I didn't really have anything to base it off. I just kind of had it based on like this like very cartoony look of a barn that I had in my head. So that ended up being the final result. I did end up changing some things, like this little path that I did. I wanted it to kind of look like tire tracks have been going up and down it, and kind of like looked more worn, but I didn't quite like how it looked, so I may try to do it again, or just leave it how I ended up changing it later on. I also put a little fire pit in the backyard, and then I wanted the horse, this hypothetical horse that I haven't even placed in game yet, to have a lot of space to run in the backyard, and gave it just like what I imagine a horse would live on, which is dirt. And I just like placed a bunch of things. I don't really know if it's functional or if I placed them right, because I haven't really played with horses in a really long time, so I really want to use this as an opportunity to play with horses. Like I said, I just placed things down randomly, and then I'm going to test that out later and hopefully it works well. But yeah, that's what I placed down. And yeah, eventually I changed the driveway because it just looked kind of silly. And the next thing that I wanted to do was to make a little garden. I have like this little dream of having like a really big garden someday. I don't even have a green thumb, mind you. I just like, it's like I guess like a little fantasy of mine. that I want to magically develop gardening skills and then have a little garden. I'm still like in the process of developing lore for the characters, which is why there are trees there already, but I do want her to plant the rest of them. And I do also have the tractor that you can buy in the Sims 3 store. I got it on Blam's EA store for free, but it does take up a lot of space on the lot to use it, so I'm just kind of using it for decor at this point. And this is my little gardening nook where I did use a lot of CC in this build as well, because I had very specific things that I wanted to place. I just like couldn't find them in game, so I ended up just looking for different versions of things or just finding those versions through CC. I also wanted to do like a little gazebo, but I ended up changing my mind and making it more of like, I guess kind of like a sunroom, I guess you can call it. But the way that I ended up structuring it, it's more like, I guess like a reading room. I do really enjoy reading, so I like the idea of having like a dedicated reading room. So yeah, I thought that would be really cute for gameplay, and just to have something like a separate structure where my sim could do her own like activities and her own hobbies. I don't even know if there's hobbies in the Sims 3 that she could do, but I'm gonna figure it out and see what cutesy things she can do. And then I ended up like, this idea that I had in my head of my garden was more like cottagey and more like whimsy and ethereal. I don't even know, just like more like magical, if that makes sense. So I ended up putting like a wedding arch for the doorway. I don't even know if it's functional or if it'll work, so I do have to test that out as well. And yeah, here I am placing down the dirt paths for the plants that hopefully she's gonna plant. I actually got really impatient with this and just like ended up making it really sloppy, so I'll have to go in again and fix that. But at the moment, I don't care. I feel like it doesn't have to look perfect. It's literally dirt, and in real life it wouldn't look all that great. There's still a lot of details that I want to add just to the lot in general, because I feel like it looks a little not like empty, but like it looks a little staged, almost like it's too perfect in some areas. Like it needs to be more imperfect, I guess. And now we are approaching the end of this build, and I'm just kind of putting in final details and just kind of putting in the last minute things that I forgot about, or just changing some things that I didn't like for example that little gravel or whatever that I put in the gardening nook. I don't like it anymore, so I may go back and change that and just like add more maybe like rocks or something, or I don't know. And that's what I mean, like that those little stone paths that I made just look a little too like, I don't know, like it looks a little too plain or too simple. I don't really know. Alright, welcome to my quick little tour where I'm going to show you everything that I built. Let's go ahead and start with the very front of the house. Don't look at it too hard because it does look a little ugly the longer that you look at it. We'll go ahead and start at the front. You can see that there is a little playground, a little picnic basket. There is a little pond that took me too long to make it look right. And then I did make a little stone path. This is the house from all angles. Unfortunately, it does look a little funky. Don't look at it too hard, like I said, because it does get a little scary if you look at it too hard. Oh, there's also a little beehive that comes with the supernatural pack. And then there is sunflowers and a bunch of cute flowers. And then my favorite part about the windows here is these like round open windows. I'm pretty sure they are CC, but they are still super cute. And then in the back, we don't have a whole lot going on, and it is kind of small, but there is a clothing line and a pizza thingy. I don't know what it's called. A pizza oven, a grill, and a little table. And there are no windows. I did forget to place them, and I didn't realize until now, but that's a task for future me to handle. Back here is where the horse will train, And there's also a bunch of hay so that I could eat, and there is a salt lick somewhere over there and a ball. Here is the cow stables, is that what we call it, the cattle, I don't know, man. And then right here is where I placed the garden. I'm really excited to play in the gardening in The Sims 3. I've never really played gardening too much. I'm still in the process of developing some lore, which is why there are trees here. So I'm thinking this will be like a family inheritance type thing, or I'm not really too sure, but I'll figure it out. And then I did place the tractor from Blam's EA store or Sims 3 store. It was free, but it does take up a lot of space, like on the lot, so it's not actually functional. It really is for decor, I think. And then I did use a wedding art for the entrance for the garden, because I just kind of imagine it to be like whimsical and like very magical fairy core. So that is what I did. And then over here is the farm and this little reading nook that I created. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the reading nook first because it is a little bit cuter. Because the barn is really, I mean, it's just a barn. There's nothing crazy about it. Yeah, but like I said, there's nothing crazy about the barn. There's really nothing to show. It really is just a little home for the horse, and there's some decor up here on the second floor. I don't really know what I'm gonna do there, but maybe this can be like a little teen hangout later on, or maybe the reading nook can be a teen hangout spot later on when the kids are much older, because I do plan on filling up this entire house and this entire lot with quite a few babies. I don't know how many yet, but ideally like 4. Okay, now let's do a little house tour. I went with like a more beige bedroom and a green dining room. I don't really have much to say about these. They don't look all that great, but I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to interior design, so I kind of just gave up on them and I've just left them as is. I don't have the mental capacity to do any more work to them. I have a cute little table here because it just kind of gave me like abuelita vibes, so that's what I was going for here. And then a green kitchen. There is food and like tableware inside these cabinets, and there's just like some random decor items just kind of spread out throughout the kitchen. The living room is probably my favorite part. It's very cutesy. It's green. There's also a little fortune telling table here. Let's see. And then upstairs is empty. I kind of run out of capacity for decorating and building. That's probably why there is no windows in the back, because I didn't build anything in here. But there is 3 rooms, so I think maybe enough space for some kids. And then a bathroom. Yeah, but that is pretty much all that I have to show, I think. Bikes, and then this car that I used as a reference for the size of the driveway, and then I just forgot to delete it, so now it's just a permanent resident. The front just has some roses and stuff like that, and then there's like a little driveway made out of gravel or rock or something. This terrain paint is from Supernatural, I believe. And then we have the little farm like ranch sign that I thought was kind of cute, and then the windmill. And that pretty much sums up the entire tour, and that is everything that I built, and that's everything that I had the capacity to build. This is all I got. All right, I have nothing left to give. I am really excited to play with this lot and with this little family that I created though. So definitely stay tuned in the future. I will be hopefully playing with this family in the near future and getting to live my little dream life in the boonies. So if you want to see that, stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye.